the topic that I thought we could perhaps discuss today, and that is the difference between somebody having an expectation of you and somebody having belief in you, and that belief that they have in you eventually becoming self-belief.
I always put at the end of every single one of my reflections, this is purely my opinion of what I see myself as in class. Let me know if you see anything different, that you see where I'm lacking, that I need a little work on. December I sat cold, and then March I had an 110-point jump.
Get ready for the next iteration of you on your path to becoming wealthy. On this show, you'll get the insider's view on wealth creation, the class none of us got taught in school, with my co-host, daughter, and beginning investor, Sophia Bosch. And now, let's get started.
Welcome to the Becoming Wealthy podcast. I'm your host, Sophia Bosch. I'm with my co-host,
Michelle Bosch. How are you, Sophia?
I'm good.
How was school today?
It was fun.
It was fun? Or fine?
It was fun.
Okay, good. Awesome.
I enjoyed it. It was a good day.
That's wonderful because I'm hoping that every day when you come home you do say it was fun, especially with when it comes to I think the topic that I thought we could perhaps discuss today, and that is the difference between somebody having an expectation of you and somebody having belief in you, and that belief that they have in you eventually becoming self-belief, something, that where you become, self-sourcing. So I wanted to ask you just a few questions just so that we can basically contrast one with the other.
Okay.
So normally when you go to school, you are there for 4 or 5 periods, right? 4 periods.
My school is weird. We
Okay.
only have 4 classes a day.
4 classes, 4 core classes.
But therefore, they're long.
Longer, yeah. And okay, so in every single day you go, you attend class, there's discussion base,
Yeah.
learning that happens. But then what happens usually once you leave that class? Is there any homework assigned?
Yes.
Okay, and usually what's the expectation as to the completion of that homework?
That it's done by next class.
Okay, and some of those classes, how many times do you have classes normally per week?
3.
3 times. So maybe there's just a 48-hour turnaround at most, and for some,
Sometimes it's 24.
it's just 24 hours. Okay, so that's one thing. What about papers? Like projects, a little bit, more involved, maybe.
I mean,
I don't.
it's expected to be done by the deadline. Sure, you could ask for an extension, but therefore you get an extended deadline, so it's still due by the deadline.
Okay, and how far in advance do those usually go for?
Those depends on the teacher or depends on the essay, but typically it depends what class you're in.
Yeah, but is it like 48 hours turnaround
For
or?
an essay?
Yeah.
That's wild.
Okay.
That's crazy.
What's
Actually, no. For an English class this year that some of my friends are in, sometimes they are 48 hours.
okay?
But majority is you get it assigned maybe a month-ish before, maybe 3 weeks.
Okay.
You
4
get
weeks at most.
4 weeks, depending on how big it is.
Okay.
If it's like a final, for example, my history final has been we've been talking about it since the beginning of the year.
Okay.
Or the beginning of the semester.
Okay.
So, but now the deadlines, he'll be like, I need you to have at least 3 pages done so I can give you some feedback by April 26th.
Okay, so he's basically managing the process for you guys, and giving you certain milestones that need to be completed in 3
Like,
weeks time,
yeah.
in 4 weeks time, in 6 weeks time, et cetera, et cetera. Okay, so so
But I will say my school, it's very on you. Like for essays, it's a little bit different just because you don't have to have it done. It's recommended,
Mhm.
but if usually the teacher knows best, and if you recognize that, you will get it done on those markers.
Okay, but for the most part, basically your time
It's always a deadline, pretty much. all the time.
Okay, but for the most part, your timeline is you have to turn around with something within 24 hours,
Yeah.
within 48 hours, maybe a couple weeks, at most 4 weeks.
Yeah.
4 weeks out. That's basically the time horizon. Yeah.
Pretty much.
So that time horizon, Sophia, is usually, to me, that's really short. And but basically what that time horizon is teaching you is that there is certain expectations, within a 24-hour period or a 48-hour period or 4-week period that you need to basically live up to. Now, it seems that the history professor is doing a little bit more when he assigns something at the beginning of the semester, and you have the entire semester to work on it.
So there's homework assignments within that, and then there's also the essay on top.
Okay.
And you have to, the expectation is that you're constantly looking into it, revising, working on it.
Okay. Oh, okay. So that's a good thing. So I'm really pleased with that, because as opposed to some of the classes where you have this turnaround of 24 to 48 hours, or at most a week or 2 weeks, preparation for a test usually is happening within a week, 2 weeks. Advance.
Oh, they don't tell us.
So basically this training is based
It's
on
a week
Yeah.
most.
is teaching you that there's an expectation and there's a short time frame of expectation that you need to live up to, and
Get all
that's
the
it.
information.
Now tell me about a circumstance in which, instead of expectation, there's been a little bit more of them wanting to teach you a little bit about self-belief. So history seems like the kind of teacher where he's basically giving you a longer time horizon. Seems like a semester to work on. But what about for example, reflections? Are those for a test that you just took last week, or are those reflections for a longer time horizon?
Reflections. So they usually
Well, tell us first what they are.
reflections. They started this past year,
Okay, so it's new.
or maybe last year. I don't really remember. But instead of, it used to be that every quarter,
Mm-hmm.
your advisor would write you home a letter, and then at the midterm, or
What was that letter
or
saying?
it was like a letter saying, "Oh, your teachers think this about you,"
Okay.
or "I kind of know your expectations of yourself, but this is what your teachers see you in class as." They have turned it into, at the end of the first quarter and at the end of the third quarter, you write up a little bit about what do you think you're doing in class that's good, what do you think your participation's like, how do you feel about the class, do you think you've been challenged,
Mm-hmm.
do you enjoy the class, what do you think could be better maybe, or do you think the grade that you have in the class is representative of your understanding?
Mm-hmm. Okay.
A little bit of everything.
Mm-hmm.
Or it's like, do you come to class prepared with all the materials, homework done? How do you do on
Is
tests?
it mainly then
It's a reflection.
of what happened in the past,
Of what happened in the past, and then
and how
it
will that
asks
orient the future?
it asks for goals. Like, what do you think you could improve upon?
Okay.
And that is something that your teachers then respond to. I always put at the end of every single one of my reflections, this is purely my opinion of what I see myself as in class. Let me know if you see anything different, or if you recommend
Mm-hmm.
I do something to be extra, or that you see where I'm lacking, that I need a little work on. I feel like I'm very conscious of my strengths and weaknesses, but who knows? I could have a blind spot.
Yeah,
So
makes sense. Yeah.
then the teachers go in and respond
Mm-hmm.
to every single one. Every teacher does this for every single student. It's very nice.
Okay, wonderful.
It's
So-
personalized.
so-
And then at the semester mark, at at the end of the first and second, the teachers will just write you something. It's not a
when there has been feedback from
It's
one of the
always-
teachers, and you've had then an entire semester, because it's at the beginning of the first quarter and then the beginning of the third quarter is what you're saying.
beginning at the end of the third quarter.
Okay, so then
Beginning of second and fourth quarter, because they want you to reflect on the first quarter, see how you did. It's basically a little check-in and see if you're not doing as well as you want to, what are some things that you could be doing, and the teacher understands them and they will help you.
okay.
That's the whole idea of the reflection.
And you know, I love that, because that is much more about mentorship than about
I agree.
you know, and therefore more about self-belief, that you can, over a period of a longer time frame,
Yeah.
basically evolve and improve, and on the things that you are doing well, you know, that you actually look back and because we can fall into the trap of always being in the gap. And what I mean by that is, like, where are we falling short, you know? And so if you look into towards the, you know, toward in the rear view mirror and look at the things that you did well, you know, I like that, because it allows you to be in the gain versus the gap. And
Yeah.
you know, my mentor Dan Sullivan is a big believer of, you know, entrepreneurs really needing to not just look at, you know, at the gap and where I'm falling short, but also, you know, where, look at how far I've come. So that is a fantastic you know, thing, I think, that the school has started, and that allows you to start having some self-belief in, like, oh, look at all the things that I have accomplished. And therefore, even if I haven't done a few things
Mix of
well,
both.
you have a little bit of more self-belief in that if I've been able to accomplish all these things in the past, I can overcome these obstacles or these hurdles or these areas of improvement. And I have in another 6-month period, you know, to do that going forward. And it's a longer time horizon,
quarter.
or the next quarter, to improve upon. And I love that. And I just basically wanted you to recognize the difference between an expectation and being trained. Because I think right now a lot of kids and schools in general, if there is not an aspect of reflection and contemplation.
But there's still the expectation that you do them.
Yeah.
That
Well,
you do the
no,
reflection.
but I actually have asked around, and there's not very many actually public schools where a reflection is actually happening, or if it's happening, it's not across the board. It's because a specific teacher believes in not just teaching you
Yeah.
and having expectations for you on a daily and weekly basis, but that teacher also wants you to have this kind of contemplative thought, you know. And what I mean by contemplative thought is a thought that is much more expansive, that looks over a longer period of time, the things that I nailed, because what that does, Sophia, is something very, very important. That is that it allows you to compact, basically extract the wisdom from the past, and basically compound that into the future. Yeah. And on the things that you didn't so well, you know, extract the wisdom there as well. What can I do different? And basically
Try something else.
and exactly fix it, readjust, basically, and move into the future with a longer time frame. And why is that so important? Because I think you're getting the just right now as you are preparing for this SAT, that and even in your land business, that most things in life are not like a 24-hour turnaround. Yes, there will be some things in entrepreneurship,
You know, but
where
SAT I've been having to work at
for a long
time.
right?
Yeah, because I know some people that have been studying since summer
And last year,
of last year, and it's almost summer of this year, and they're still trying to get at it. And that's a long time to be studying SAT. But I've only been studying December. I took the December one.
cold. Yeah,
I took the March one with preparation. I'm taking the June one and possibly the August.
So now you said December through March. That was a 3-month period or 3.5-month period. That's a longer period where you're starting to develop self-belief. And
Yeah, it's actually crazy. how some of through doing exercises the way that I've been told to do it is to mark each question as like 1, 2, or 3. 1, you feel confident about it. 2, you were a little shaky. Or 3, you have no clue. And then you mark them. You add next to it, like you create a Google sheet and you add next to it the types of questions.
Yeah.
And so after a while, you realize, oh, I'm really very good at these things because they never come up in the sheet. And then the 2s and 3s that you were a little shaky on, you find patterns. And so then you can go in and just hone in on those ones that you didn't do as well on, and that's been really helpful.
Yeah. And what was the difference in basically, was there a jump in the score, like a
So December I sat cold,
Uh-huh.
and then March I
Had now
had
3 months of
preparation. I had an 110-point jump
That's
gain.
good job.
Yeah,
Amazing.
I'm proud.
I'm
I'm proud of that.
of seeing it through.
And I also,
And are you happy with that score, or what are you?
I am happy with it. It can get me into college for sure. But I'm actually very happy with the English portion because on all the other practice tests I'd done, I never got to the point where I liked my score, but for this SAT, my English score was the highest
You've
it's
ever had?
ever been,
Uh-huh.
even with practice, which is
Another one go.
the math was also really good, but I feel like there's always room for improvement. But
Absolutely. So now you're looking now March to June. There's another 3 months out, and then possibly even August, which would mean an additional 3 months. So now we will have been working at this for 8 months, and in every single time there's been improvement, right?
yeah.
In the practice test, in the actual sitting right now in March.
Well, sometimes actually the pattern
Uh-huh.
of like I take one practice test, it goes well, and then it goes a little down, and then it goes up, and then it goes a little down.
But you seem to have like broken the curse with that one, right? No?
That was part of it.
Okay, great. So you got to keep it going.
Yeah, remember I took the extra thing.
But what did that 110-point swing do for?
Oh, it
for your
boosted my confidence
Absolutely.
for sure.
And what about self-belief?
I feel like now I feel a little bit more at peace, especially with my reading score, just because I know that's a weakness for me. And if I was able to get a very good score on the real test,
Maybe it's not a big weakness anymore.
maybe not. Yeah, who knows? Or everyone else did
Yeah,
poorly.
that's
so
the
it's
thing.
the curve.
Things that we do repeatedly, something that is worth doing, it's worth doing, in my opinion. If you've never done it before, it's worth doing poorly. And something that we do repeatedly, where we are basically building that muscle, it's undeniable that it will improve.
Yeah.
And so that's part of self-belief as well, that comes with this longer time horizon.
It for sure.
To see certain things through. And sometimes I feel like when we think things are just on expectation basis, in a 24 or 48-hour turnaround, that you don't have the time to develop that patience to see things through, and in the consistency to stay at it through the ups and downs, because like you just said right now, that there was this pattern of like you were scoring in the practice as well, and then down. So there's an emotional roller coaster. Guess what? Entrepreneurship, the same, right?
Yeah.
As you know, with your land.
Yeah.
So
I will say though, it has put me a little bit at ease because now that I have worked hard for that, if needed, I could use that to like super score or something. Like now I feel a little bit calmer.
now, can I, and perhaps we can wrap up with this little secret. Can I tell you that the moment that you start basically increasing your horizon, your time horizon from just a few days, a few weeks to months, to quarters, to a year, that that allows you, along with reflection, thinking time about how did I do so far, what things I did well, and what things do I need adjustment on, that is the secret to creating momentum. That the moment that you ask yourself, what is the lesson or what is the learning, what things can I do better? That the moment that you ask yourself that energetically, and I know this sounds a little like woo-woo, that energetically you're sending a message there to the universe, for a forward momentum that is destined to make you unstoppable, especially if you have the consistency to stay in the game for the long term, for the long run, and seeing, the results of your work through. So I just wanted to say that's the secret, and you're starting to see that.
I'm understanding it. Yeah, I'm starting to get that.
Okay, well, with that, I think my job here is done when it comes to I just wanted to us to have a conversation basically and chat about the difference between what I see, of school
The short
systems
term.
creating expectation versus creating self-belief. Yeah, and I think actually some of your teachers are doing a good job, a decent job there, and I think the school might be doing also really good with those reflections that they're having you guys do. So with that, I hope this episode was helpful. Again, shared with an important person in your life. This, I think, is not just uniquely perfect for a teenager. This is all of us. It's important to really compound the good in our life and have reflection time, thinking time, so that we can extract the wisdom from the things that are not going so well, and we can compound the good and readjust going forward. And so if you loved this episode, which I think you may have, I'm like very confident.
Yeah.
Share it with someone important in your life. Leave us a 5-star review. That's most important. That definitely helps us, right, Sophia?
Yes.
So see you on the next episode.